Welcome to Week in Geek, your new comics preview for December 28th. I'm Mike Ortiz.
And I'm the Chris Brown.
So, you're up.
All right. We got a pretty big week here for in between Christmas and New Year.
Been a couple of light weeks, but now we're back up to normal.
Absolutely. So, I'm going to, you know what? Actually, I'm going to start off. I'm going to move something around in my pile.
Yeah.
I'm going to move up here. We got the DC Comics Presents Elseworlds 80-page, or 100-page spectacular, whatever. I always like the Elseworlds.
Yeah.
So it's just kind of fun to me to go back and revisit some of these tales in one nice big thick book.
Now, this particular one has not been printed before.
So this is all new material.
Well, they had solicited it, they had printed it, and then they pulled it and pulped it because there's a story in there where Clark Kent's babysitter, when he's very young, is not paying much attention, and he crawls into a microwave oven or something. So there's some possible injury to babies, although it's baby Clark Kent, so he can't be hurt.
Exactly, that's probably the point they were making in the first place.
Right. So DC got nervous. They pulled that. They reprinted it eventually in Bizarro Stories. Some of the other stories got reprinted. A few copies made it out. They're worth a few $100s a pop because most of them got pulp. So, this is a first chance for most of us to read this material.
I'm looking forward to that. I didn't realize it was not reprints. I was just looking forward to it because I like all the Elseworlds.
Technically it is because it did get printed, but...
but barely got out.
A few shops in the UK got it because their books shipped a little bit early.
Gotcha.
Because they have to get there a little bit earlier. And so they actually made it before DC had a chance to pulp them all. So if you this is kind of an infamous book, so check it out.
Yeah, definitely pick that up.
It's a Kyle Baker story.
Okay, I like his stuff.
Great stuff, but it's all humor, all kind of weird stuff.
Yeah, generally because he's got kind of funny art style.
Yeah, good stuff.
Next up, we've got All Star Western #4. As I've said before, I really like this Jonah Hex tale. Still in Gotham, chasing sort of Jack the Ripper, basically, in Gotham. I like it. I think it's kind of fun. I'm on board for Jonah Hex. As I've said before, I always kind of wanted to dive in but didn't know how, and now I'm reading it now that it's continuous as opposed to one-shots. Then we've got American Vampire #22. This is the start of a new story. The Beast in the Cave wrapped up last month, so now we're on to something new here. I think this book has just been absolutely fantastic. I like the story of Skinner Sweet. The more stories you kind of read about him, he's not necessarily the full-on villain, but he's very much the antagonist. I'm starting to enjoy him as a character, even though he is the bad guy. And they very much have, now in the previous story, they had set up him and the marshal that would come after him as having been friends when they were kids, and then, went into the military together. And so they have this history with one another, and now they're just unraveling more stories of the past, and I think it's fun. I like it. Aquaman #4. Holy crap, Aquaman's cool. Who knew?
Yeah.
Who knew? Everyone... there have been some references, of course, obviously, with he just talks to fish, and they kind of debunked that, and they did it in Justice League as well. Good stuff. Aquaman is a cool character. I really liked what they did in, Jeff Johns is writing both the Justice League and Aquaman here. And I like what they did in Justice League where he's just like, well, we're going to need a leader to this team.
Yeah.
Well, who should it be? Well, it should be me, clearly. You talk to fish. No, I actually do this.
It's interesting because he is basically DC's Namor.
Yeah.
Marvel has been able to make Namor a badass for 50 years. And finally DC has sort of realized it. There was that period when he had the hook and the beard, but that was a little odd. It just didn't feel like Aquaman.
Somehow, Aquaman is less cool than Namor, even though Namor has wings on his ankles and wears just
Speedos.
A Speedo, and pointy ears. Somehow he's cooler because he's so ticked off, and you would be too if you had pointy ears, wings on your feet, and nothing but a green Speedo.
Definitely. I think if I was wearing a green Speedo, everybody else would be ticked off.
Well, I'm not gonna deny that. And then we've got Archie #628, which is Archie Meets Kiss Part 2. Admittedly, I didn't get to read the first one yet. I'm probably just going to read all 4 when we get down together here. I'm assuming, though, that this is going to be more entertaining than Kiss Meets the Phantom of the Park. I don't see how it couldn't be. And I think it's just kind of a neat idea. I mean, at this point, Archie's been around for so long. I think they're literally throwing everything but the kitchen sink at it. Yeah. Michael Strahan was in an issue the month before, then Kiss.
And Obama. And Sarah Palin.
Yep.
They have a gay character. He's been married twice. He's getting married again.
If we play our cards right, we may be able to get WeekNGeek on Archie.
Yes.
They're desperate for guests.
I think we got to write Archie right away. Archie stops into a comic shop.
Letter writing campaign. Write into Archie that you want to see WeekNGeek on Archie. Archie meets WeekNGeek.
Comics and more in Riverdale.
Yeah, there's a comics and more in every city. Mm-hmm. And it seems that way, certainly. Then we've got FF number 13. Awesome stuff. We're branching off doing the Future Foundation here with these stories now.
The kids and Doctor Doom.
Yeah, and they're doing that. What is it? All things lead to doom or whatever is the story we're working on here now. Mm-hmm. I don't know. I like it. I think Hickman works well with the kids, and he established that when he did his Dark Reign miniseries and all the things he did with Valerie, with Val and Franklin. And now he was doing it in FF, and I really like what he's done to Val. Yeah. Sometimes, precocious kids irritate me, but I don't feel that way with her. I mean, she's
definitely
Reed Richard and Sue Storm's kid. Yeah. It makes sense. Her brother's a boy, so he acts dumb, but he can create universes in the palm of his hand. So
I'm really liking Bentley, the clone of the was it the wizard?
Yes,
he's a brilliant little jerk. And there's a little something going on between him and Valeria, which is kind of weird that the offspring of Mr. Fantastic and the wizard have a thing going.
He's just a clone. Yeah. He's got his own experiences happening.
He is, but he's still kind of a jerk.
Yeah, absolutely. Chicks love the bad boys.
This is true. Val may be smart, but she ain't that smart.
Then we've got issue 3 of The Cape by Joe Hill, writer of Lock and Key. This stuff's been cool. I mean, this guy, it's not exactly... Imagine if your blankie one day gave you superpowers. Yeah. What would you do? Not everybody would do the right thing.
Yeah, especially if you're kind of a horrible person.
If you feel like the world owed you something, and, the Cape sort of kind of turns him into a worse person than just being sort of a jerk. Imagine what would happen there. I think it's I don't totally feel like it's one of these... anti-hero books. I mean, it's a little different. It's more of an interesting story than just your typical take on this lately. And we get a lot of that. I mean, there have been how many in the last year where
you had like
the hero
Mighty
and
a God Somewhere or something like that. But this is actually a little different because it's not like these people become these immensely powerful. He's really got one ability,
fly.
And how much that can really change what you can do in the world. It's a very, very grounded, realistic, and it is a horror story.
Yeah. Oh, yes. Joe Hill is a fantastic writer. Yeah. I really, really like his stuff a lot. I also want to point out that with this issue number 3 here, I maybe about a month ago, right after issue 2 came out, they finally sent the autographed copies of issue 1. So they're signed by Joe Hill and I think, who's the other guy? There's a second signature on that book. What we're going to do is anybody who buys a copy of The Cape, you'll automatically get a raffle ticket. If you want to buy an additional raffle ticket, it'll be $1. And we'll do that. We'll run that, I guess we'll run that until the 4 comes out. And then the day the 4 comes out, we'll draw it and we'll give away a free autographed copy of number 1. So look for that. Next up, I've got The Mighty Thor, number 9. This is... the second part of the new...
Yeah, the new Tannerus with... Thor's dead. Yeah, he's right there on the cover.
He's obviously he's coming
back. He's dead-ish. But so it's not... Tannerus is not Thor, he's Julik the Troll.
Yeah, and he's just the god of thunder, so Thor's got to work his way back, I guess.
Yeah. I don't know what's going on entirely, but it's a good book still.
It is. I still dig it. I think Matt Fraction is doing a good job with this. We've said what we said about Fear Itself. I think everything post Fear Itself has been more interesting because they got to where they needed to be. And
Matt Fraction is good when he's writing kind of big concept or weird concept stuff like here, and less so in Iron Man, but definitely in Casanova. I think when you try to get Grant Morrison does a good job of stopping being Grant Morrison and writing normal traditional stuff. Matt Fraction hasn't quite got there yet.
Right.
He's like Grant Morrison was maybe 10 years ago.
Yes, Grant Morrison's got better about it.
Grant Morrison knows when to turn off the crazy.
Yes.
Fraction can turn it down but not off.
We got Secret Avengers number 20. This is what the second or third issue by Warren Ellis. This is the third. I think maybe started in 18. It's still good. I really like this book. I absolutely love Michael Lark's artwork. I don't know. I like the Secret Avengers. I like the whole Avenger take. I'm not generally a big team book guy, but I'm liking Avengers, New Avengers, Secret Avengers. They all were seeming tying together before. Now they're going to kind of, Bendis has his 2 books that he's going to be wrapping up. This one's kind of doing its thing with Warren Ellis, and I dig that. So
yeah, and Rick Remender's coming on that book.
Oh, what was he? Okay.
Yeah, who's currently writing X-Force, which is the unexpectedly great X-Men book.
Right. He's also, what else is he? He was doing Venom. Yeah. He's doing some interesting things. Then we've got issue 2 of the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles micro series. This one focuses on Michelangelo. Mm-hmm. This stuff I really like the new Ninja Turtle stuff.
Yeah, a lot of people do.
It's been good. You just kind of have to look at it as something different, and not focus on whatever Ninja Turtles that you feel was the one you grew up on.
It's like the new 52.
Yeah,
it's the 53rd book.
Yeah, so just get down with your Ninja Turtles. Enjoy it. Enjoy what they're doing. It does have the watchful eye of Kevin Eastman, even though he's not really writing it, but he's still got his hands in there and approving this stuff. Then we've got the Witch Doctor one shot. Mm. This looks like fun. The miniseries was great fun. I really, really dug that thing, and the artwork is like reminiscent of old Bernie Wrightson. It's classic horror stuff for a new age. I love it. I think it's a fun book. If you hadn't been reading it, you should go back and pick those up. You probably just pick up this one shot and read it and not even have to worry about it. It was cool. Kind of like, because there was that flip book in The Walking Dead 85, I think, and that you didn't even need to read the miniseries. But if you did read it, it was a nice, little story. They're doing some cool stuff. This is a neat character, and I'm curious to see what they continue to do with him. Yeah. What do you got there?
Well, I'm going to start off with some new 52. I've got The Flash.
All right.
Number 4, still by Francis Manapul and Brian Buccellato. This has been a pretty solid book. I'm not digging it as much as I did before.
Okay.
Francis Manapul is a decent writer, but he's certainly not a Jeff Johns caliber. The artwork is fantastic.
Okay. It's Barry Allen, so I don't care.
It is Barry Allen. He's got the new costume with the zigzags on it. It's interesting the stuff that they're doing with his perceptions, where he has learned how to perceive the world in super speed, so everything can move in slow motion around him, and he can sort of see everything before it's happening or as it's happening. So that's been done. That was done briefly in the Wally West. I mean, they played with that before. First time I've ever seen them really start to play with what you can really do with super speed in a very modern sense with Barry Allen. This book has not been great. It's had a solid run so far. This is one I'm definitely gonna evaluate fully at the end, because honestly I'm not even really sure what the storyline is. Someone from Barry's past is back, and he's got multiple versions of it. That's all I know, but certainly the main thrust of it has been this new take on his powers. Next up is Green Lantern New Guardians. As I said before, this has become my second favorite of the Green Lantern books, because it's very different. It's not just a Green Lantern book. It's Kyle Rayner as the Green Lantern, plus a Blue Lantern, Red Lantern. Basically, it's the Rainbow Lantern Corps. There are implications that this will ultimately lead to Kyle leaving the Corps, though not necessarily giving up being Green Lantern. They may just answer to a different authority.
Okay,
but it's an interesting take. It's bringing something a little new. You got the Red Lantern book, which has been solid. You've got 2 Green Lantern books, and this pretty much covers the rest of the spectrum.
Okay.
Next up is I, Vampire. I've not caught up on this one.
I've not read that book at all.
I loved the first issue. I liked the second issue. Third issue I haven't read yet. It's all... the first 2 issues were a lot of setup. The artwork is fantastic. Joshua Hale Fialkov is an interesting new voice in the DC universe. He did a lot of indie stuff. Before that, he did a lot of stuff with Top Cow, but here he is on I, Vampire, and I think he's doing some other new 52 stuff.
Oh, cool.
So this has been pretty cool. A good example of taking a character that nobody really was that familiar with,
right?
But kind of an interesting concept, dusting it off, recreating it with a creative team that's not necessarily had a lot of exposure, and that's one of the things I think the new 52 has done pretty well. Like both here, things like Resurrection Man, things like that. Next up, Justice League Dark. I'm really digging this. The Magical Justice League.
That's another one I have to catch up on.
It's got Deadman, Constantine, Zatanna. They're going up again. Basically, it's all the freaky magic stuff that the regular Justice League can't deal with. Shade the Changing Man is in this.
Right.
It's interesting that it's basically this and I, Vampire and books like Swamp Thing and Animal Man, books that really kind of are the Vertigo characters in many ways brought back to the DC universe. And I didn't realize how much I missed them because they actually
great books.
Have been playing very well with their.
I like that DC's friends. Brought kind of the horror element back to their books a bit, and integrated it into the universe.
They had spun it out and let Vertigo take care of most of that, but it's nice to see it back. At least with these characters, Vertigo still has plenty of horror, like American Vampire and Hellblazer are still there. But if you want your horror a little bit lighter with some tights, DC's got it covered. Next up, Superman number 4. This is again Perez and Nicola Scott. One of the main reasons I was getting this book was Jesus Marino, who is not on at the moment, but he's coming back. This has been overshadowed by Action Comics. It's already going to have a shakeup on the creative team.
Action's a better story.
Much better. I'm getting this because I want to see how it plays out. It has not been as good. It feels like an old Bronze Age Superman story, which is when people didn't really like Superman. But it's definitely better than that. I'm still giving it a shot. It's been solid. It's just kind of suffering the way that maybe Detective Comics is suffering because Batman is such a strong book. Once we really kind of settle on the creative team on this, I'll decide. I'll give it a shot up through then. But once hopefully they can get a set final creative team on this book in a direction that's going to stick.
I'm going to say, I caught up on Justice League, and having read that, I'm not as bothered by the lack of red trunks.
Yeah.
I don't understand why they had to take it away.
Yeah.
But I'm not bothered by it like I was when I hadn't really, read it and looking at it. I'm not bothered by it.
Me neither. I'm actually more bothered by all the freaky lines on everybody's costumes still. But I think in a year's time, most of those are going to be gone. As the artists start getting, we can draw our books faster if I didn't have to draw these lines everywhere. But the new costume, not really that new.
It's fine.
It's the old costume without the red pants.
Yeah. Just addressing a thing that people complained about.
Yeah. Next up, Kick-Ass issue 6. Last issue, that's when things got real.
Okay. I fell off a few issues ago, and I've heard it's been pretty nuts.
It basically, what's been going on is the Red Mist is back. He's changed his name to a name I cannot say on a family show.
Oh, all right. Wow.
And he's assembled a team of supervillains, whereas Kick-Ass has inspired a wave of other superheroes, much like the real superhero movement with Phoenix Jones and all of those guys with no powers that don't really do a whole lot, except deal with crazy drunk girls on the street, macing them and stuff.
Yeah.
But basically, the Red Mist has put together a team of bad guys, including a former head of Russian security for the Russian president, who was basically fired because she was accused of cheating in a card game and she killed the rest of the bodyguards. So she's basically a big badass psycho that can kill a lot of people.
All right.
So they go on a killing spree. They're basically wiping out the heroes because Red Mist wants vengeance on Kick-Ass for killing his dad. Hit Girl has been playing nice. She's been playing the little girl role until the villains basically step things up a notch. And at the end of last issue, Hit Girl kills a whole bunch of people and says, okay, now it's on. So this issue, we get to see Hit Girl kick some ass. Next up, The Ultimates. I was actually a little kind of wary of this book. I wasn't sure where it was going. Last issue had a bombshell revelation that I guess a lot of people saw coming if you had read a few other Ultimate books. I didn't see it coming. This new, even though it's really kind of obvious, this new incredibly advanced society, the person who is running this is someone that we're familiar with, and a great reminder of why the Ultimate Universe is very different from the regular Marvel U. I'm not going to say who it is because I don't want to spoil it for you, because it was a nice little reveal, but it was enough to take a book that was kind of iffy and spin it back to yes for me.
Oh, cool.
Next up, Uncanny X-Men number 3. This is more of the X-Men versus the new reinvented Mr. Sinister. It's Kieran Gillen still writing. He's been doing a great job on this book since he took over. I've really liked the X-Men relaunch. I'm reading more X-Men books now than I have in probably 20 years, which I never really
I like
expected.
the Sinister's back and doing stuff.
Yeah.
I always liked that character.
He was a great character. They've got Celestials. He's taken over the head of the Celestial that's living in San Francisco.
All right.
I don't know, but this is the X-Men assault team. This is the tough guys. Wolverine's the teacher. This is the superhero team.
All right.
Taking on superhero team stuff. Next up, Unwritten. This has been a great book. This is the 4th issue of the War of Words.
Right.
Because this is shipping bi-weekly, because this is a 10-part storyline. I haven't read any of these. I basically figure when I get to issue 5, next month's issue, I'll read the first 5 issues.
Okay.
And then basically 2.5 months later, I'll read the rest. This is a book that reads great in chunks. I would recommend people go and just start picking it up and trade. The only reason I don't switch...
It is a great book.
The only reason I don't switch to trades is because I've got individual issues. And I'm just kind
You've
of...
already started that.
I'm kind of a stickler like that. Where it's like I don't want to all of a sudden switch from stuff sitting in boxes to stuff sitting on a shelf. But like many Vertigo books, it's going to be on the shelf a while. It's a great, very consistent book. I really cannot recommend this book enough to people who actually like reading real books. The most literate book being published today.
Absolutely.
Next up, Captain America #5, Ed Brubaker and Steve McNiven. This is a beautiful book. I'm not really sure what the storyline is. There's something about some guy from their past in alternate dimensions. I'm not really sure. The story's been a little weak on this, but Steve McNiven's art has been fantastic.
Yes.
Although McNiven is very, very slow, so this book is very late, which is why also this week we have Captain America #6. Because this is a different artist. This is the first issue by Alan Davis. I'm looking forward to this. Alan Davis is a great artist.
I like him too.
I don't know what the plot is for this because obviously the 2 issues are shipping in the same day. But hey, it's Alan. If it's Alan Davis, I'm going to buy it. Alan Davis and Ed Brubaker. That sounds like a winning combination to me. So that's the bulk of my stack.
All right, I guess that brings me to the top of my stack, which is Greenwake #8. I am liking this book more and more. I really liked the first 5 issues. I thought were fantastic. It was a really creepy, weird sort of horror story, and then it got creepier and almost more narrative. Like before, it was based on a lot of concept and craziness, and it was fun and really, really cool. And Riley Rossmo's artwork is just stellar on a creepy book like this. But now he's introduced some new characters and this mystery of these, dead children that show up, and
still got frogs.
Really, there are still frogs, but it's not as, there's other things that they're telling us right now. There are other things going on, but this is a good one. If you are not reading Greenwake, you really should be. If you like horror and kind of bizarre stuff, again, it had been compared to Twin Peaks, but it doesn't have, to me, quite the same quirky characters, small town stuff. There's more. It always felt more like Wrist Cutter's A Love Story to me, or also the graphic novel that was based from Kamikaze Pizza.
Yeah.
It feels more like that to me, where there's this. It's not as quirky. It's this very deep sense of loss throughout all the characters, and that is essentially what Greenwake is. Good book. You should be reading it. What do you got there?
My top, because 2 Captain Americas in 1 week is not enough.
Clearly.
So Marvel, in their infinite wisdom, has decided to give you even more Captain America with issue 625 of Captain America and Bucky also shipping this week.
Every Captain America book they can throw
at
this week.
Pretty much. It's almost like he had a movie or something.
If you're a Captain America fan,
this is a good week for you.
It's a good week.
I've really been enjoying this book. This is the first. The reason this is the pick of the week, we had the World War II issues. We had that final issue that's kind of the Cold War era. Now Winter Soldier is going to go off in his own book.
Is this the Zero?
Well, no, this is actually the first issue by Francesco Francavilla.
Okay.
The new artist on the book. And that's why this is my pick of the week.
Oh, gotcha. Okay.
He's done a fantastic job on Detective Comics. He's done tons of indie books. Did a bunch of stuff for Dynamite. I think he did that Zorro series. We also did...
He's doing the variant covers on Kiss Meets Archie.
Fantastic variant covers on Kiss Meets Archie. Also, some great artwork on when Black Panther took over Daredevil. Yeah. Great artist, great kind of urban vibe. I'm curious to see, as much as I'm going to miss Chris Samnee on this book, he's moving on to other things, but I'm glad to be able to get some Francesco Francavilla. I loved his detective, his work on Detective. He typically handles the pencils, inks, and colors, so it's very, very powerful, bold, vibrant,
awesome color, stuff.
But also still keeping a very dark feel to it. So I'm really excited to see him on this book. I don't know what the new storyline is going to be. I don't know if it's set in the past or the present or whatever. All I know is get me some Francesco Francavilla, and from the look of it, it looks like there's going to some stuff taking place in the past, though it may go throughout more so of that. But if you're a fan of Francesco, fan of
and I don't know why you wouldn't be
fan of great artwork, give this book a shot.
Right on. Well, with that is your Week in Geek.